But obviously you mentioned in there about reducing inflammation. For anyone who might have not seen any of our podcasts before or missed the pain and inflammation episode 2 or 3 weeks ago, how does that actually happen? How is PEMF reducing the inflammation?
So again, it's all about that area of creating the environment in the body to do its job. So inflammation is created by the body as an autoimmune response to deal with areas of chronic pain or fatigue. And a lot of the time that inflammation doesn't drain from the body effectively. So again, applying PEMF therapy and increasing circulation within the body is also going to help with the detox process. So that way, as long as we're drinking plenty of water when we're using the PEMF therapy, it's going to help detox and get rid of a lot of that inflammation.
Yeah, definitely. You obviously with the circulation as well. Is there any other benefits that do come with that for people with arthritis?
So yeah, increasing the circulation again is another effect of PEMF therapy. And what that's going to do is it's going to help the blood cells to separate and carry the oxygen around the body more effectively. So if you can increase oxygen in an area, especially in an area where you've got arthritis, that's going to also help with the healing process.
With this increased circulation as well, can it actually help reduce the stiffness? Obviously, that's another big thing that people with arthritis have to deal with.
Yeah, so that's all a byproduct of the same thing. So if circulation is increased within the body, you're going to increase the oxygen. Hopefully, you're going to start to rebuild the cartilage and reduce the inflammation. All of those things are going to allow that joint to actually move a lot more freer.
Okay, great. Another big kind of effect that people with arthritis have is having to deal with like low energy all the time because they might not be rested because of the pain or just a whole multitude of reasons really. How can PEMF maybe help increase these people's energy levels as well?
So that comes down to the frequencies a lot of the time, like we've mentioned before. So we've done a whole podcast on frequencies. So if you want to go in really in depth, you can listen to that one. But when it comes to boosting energy, this is where it's much better for a PEMF device to offer a higher frequency in the morning and lower frequency at night. It's all about getting that circadian rhythm correct. So there are devices out there that kind of don't take the circadian rhythm into account. And again, applying PEMF therapy at whatever frequency is still better than not applying PEMF therapy. So I don't want to kind of completely discredit those devices, but getting a device that really takes your circadian rhythm into account is really important. So again, high frequencies in the morning, lower frequencies in the evening. So, and this comes back to the whole frequency thing. And I want to bring in another study that we found to help explain this, because so many people, especially with things like arthritis and with specific conditions, they'll find a study and they will try and replicate that study. So they'll find a device that allows you to select a certain frequency and you can change intensity, and what these people are trying to do is replicate a study that had a great outcome. So I found another collection of studies that was actually done in India, and this one was in 2009. So we'll leave these links at the bottom of this podcast as well, so you can really read into these studies in arthritis. But this one was more of a collection of studies and looked at the results that all these different studies were getting. And what was really interesting for me is that at the bottom, it lists the different studies and it lists the exposure parameters. So for example, the top one they were looking at used 50 hertz. For one underneath it was 5 hertz. Then it was 75 hertz. Then it was, so all these different studies are using different parameters of frequencies within PEMF devices. And the ones that they've mentioned in the studies all have positive outcomes. So it just reinforces that fact that you really shouldn't be looking for a device that you're trying to replicate a study for and just use one frequency. A lot of the time, the body can get used to using one frequency and it becomes slightly less effective. So finding a device that offers you a range of frequencies and it changes those frequencies throughout one program is a good way to do it. Because again, you don't have to replicate one study that has a good outcome, because many of them do. It's just that when these clinical evaluators are doing a study, a lot of the time they have to put specific parameters in to show how those studies were conducted. So it's not to say that specifically the study that used 50 hertz was the best one for arthritis.
No, it's really interesting you say that, because that's something we've kind of said since our first podcast really, is to use a range of frequencies and not just kind of stick to that one. So it's nice to kind of see what we've been saying for a long time almost reinforced by these collection of studies.